Your fear of failure is controlling your life. You overthink, you don't take action, so you cannot build something meaningful. You're frustrated because you know that there is something wrong going on, but you are not aware of it. You cannot control your thoughts and they win the battle. So you just overthink and think that that may fix it someday. But overthinking will make the problem bigger. Now, you're waiting for a version of yourself to show up. A version that is more confident, more successful, more, smart. But that version will never show up until the day you choose to become that person. Now, choosing to become that person sounds silly. Like, if we could just choose who we are, then why don't we just do it? Well, I wonder the same thing. Because you can choose who you are every day. You can reinforce your new identity every day. You're not condemned by your past. Because past is something that is not real. You cannot see the past right now. The only thing that matters is the present moment. If you achieve living in the present moment and controlling your thoughts, you can change the influences of your thoughts in your mind and you can change your life. Let me tell you that you have a brain. And our brains, our human brains, are not cognitively skilled to the point that they can interpret reality, contemplating all its dynamic variables, which are infinite, and they change all the time in one single instant. You cannot contemplate reality. You don't actually know what's true and what's false. That's why your brain builds a model of reality. What is a model? A model is a simplification of reality that can be used to predict the future and solve problems spending low amounts of energy. Here is the thing. Your model of reality can be divided into two groups. One of those groups is your identity. The second group is your environment. That is a model of who you are and a model of your environment. This is just what you think about reality. This is not real or fake. This is not accurate or inaccurate. This is just a model. Your identity is who you think you are. This is like your personality. If you think you are your personality, you are greatly mistaken. You just use a set of information inside your brain to behave daily and spend low amounts of energy because your behavior is automatic. It's great to have a personality. We need a personality. The thing is, you don't have to be attached enough to your personality. In a way, you cannot change it because your personality has to be dynamic. If you don't have a dynamic personality, a dynamic identity, you are not an adaptive person, and adaptability is one of the most important skills to build success. Now, here's the thing. You have a fixed identity that determines your behavior. If you think you are undisciplined, you will act in an undisciplined way. If you think you are not skilled at something and you will never get skilled at that thing, you will act in a way you make that come true. If you think you're shy, you will be shy. If you think you're not smart, you won't be smart. If you think you are not funny, you will never be funny. Of course, if you believe you are funny, but you don't have the skill to be funny, you cannot manifest into the physical plane your wish of being funny. But when you get the belief that you are funny and you can get better at it, you can start practicing the skill of being funny. So everything starts in your identity. If you have the correct identity, you can develop the skills and then build the specific thing you want. The beliefs you have about your environment are important as well. If you think people are good or evil, that's just a belief. That's not true or false. That's just your belief. If you think money is scarce or abundant, that's not true or false. Money is not abundant or scarce. Money just is. And we, as humans, interpret reality in some way. You can choose how to interpret reality. But if you think money is scarce, you will struggle a lot to make money because you won't work hard to make it because you think you will fail. But if you think money is abundant, then you will think that making money is easy, so you will work extremely hard to make it because you know chances of making it are high. Now, keep in mind that everything, all the examples are just beliefs. They are not true or false. They are not accurate or delusional. They are just beliefs that condition your behavior, and your behavior brings you your outcomes. Now, how does your brain create a model of reality? That is by storing memories of the past and creating beliefs that are interpretations of those memories. If you have failed doing something, like you have been undisciplined for your whole life, then your brain stored those experiences as memories, and then you created a belief that states that you are undisciplined. Now, if you believe that's true, you will reinforce the belief of that you are undisciplined. You will act as an undisciplined person. You will keep creating experiences being undisciplined. You will store those experiences and you will reinforce the belief. Now, the thing is that from this thing right here, you design your actions. Now, it's fundamental that you don't focus on changing your actions. Instead, you should focus on changing what you think about yourself, your identity, and what you think about your environment. Because remember, this is just what you think about that. It's not true or false. But if you believe the right thing, you will build the things you want. Here's the thing. How do you change your identity? You can try visualization, you can try affirmations, you can try vision boards. None of that will work if you don't actually embody your new identity. But how do you embody your new identity? You have to do two things. First thing you gotta do is you have to be aware of your thoughts and understand that thoughts are not real or fake. Thoughts are not accurate or delusional. Thoughts just are a thing that can expand inside your mind and manifest into the physical plane. If you want to change who you are, you don't have to focus on changing the physical plane. You just have to focus on different thoughts. Every time a negative thought pops up in your mind, showing you failing or making you worry about the future, you just throw it away. You ignore the thought. Now, why would you do that? If the thought seems to bring true information. Because the information that the thought is bringing is not true or false. It's just information that you will use to behave. If you think it's true, you will make it true. If you think it's false, then you can focus on a new thought that shows you being successful and make that true. Every time a negative thought pops up in your mind, you ignore that thought just because you're not looking for evidence. You don't need a justification. You don't need to make $1 million to ignore negative thoughts. You don't need to build the perfect body to ignore negative thoughts. You don't need to make the best friends ever to ignore negative thoughts. You just need to ignore negative thoughts, and then the outcomes I mentioned will come, if you want them, of course. So when you accomplish this task of ignoring negative thoughts, you can use your energy to focus on positive thoughts instead. When you focus on positive thoughts, you reinforce them. They start to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. In the beginning, it will feel unnatural because you will be like, all right, my mind is telling me that I should be worried about the future because I'm going to fail. I am not disciplined because I did this in the past and I did this other thing or whatever. But instead, I choose to believe I am an extremely disciplined person. I will be extremely successful no matter what. And I am the most intelligent person and I will succeed in anything I do. Let's just say. It feels unnatural. You don't have any evidence, any physical evidence to show that's true. But remember, there is no such thing as a true thought or false thought. And the evidence means things in the physical plane, but the things in the physical plane come from our mental plane. So when you change your mind, you will change your physical plane. Remember, if you want to create something external, you will have to create something internal first. If you try to build something external and staying the same way you have always been, you will create nothing. But if you find a way to create something new inside you, that new thing inside you will bring something physical and external in the physical plane. When thoughts of failure come to your mind, that's because you think you will fail, you think you're not capable of doing it, you think you are not smart, and you think that everyone else is so smart that they will win. And they are unbeatable. But that's just a belief. You think everyone else is unbeatable, you think you are not capable of doing it, you think you have wasted a lot of time, so now why would you make an effort? But that's just a thought. Just ignore those thoughts. Get to work. Start reinforcing beliefs and thoughts that show you being extremely successful, no matter what. There is no exception. There is no exception. No matter what your situation is, I can tell you there is no exception. You just ignore the negative thoughts and reinforce positive thoughts. It sounds easy, and it is easy. Just do it. And the second step is to embody your new identity. So when you understand that negative thoughts are not true or false, so you just ignore them, and you start reinforcing and making bigger these new positive thoughts, you are starting to change your identity. And that means that now you have the ability and the skill required to embody your new identity. You have to become that ideal version of yourself. That person you have always wanted to be, and you imagine in your head, when you become older, you say, when I grow older, I want to be like this, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to be more confident, well, you have to embody that person now. You don't need to make millions, you don't need to get a job, you don't need to buy new clothes, you don't need to make new friends, you don't need to change your appearance, you don't need to change anything. You just need to focus on the right thoughts, embody that new identity, and those other things will come later as an effect of embodying your new identity. So I won't speak no more. I think that's enough. I really hope it helped. Thanks for watching. Bye.